The clatter of pots, the sharp clang of knives, and the thick scent of spices filled the air of Master Flame Arena, the most prestigious cooking competition in the country. Cameras rolled, judges whispered, and the audience held their breath. This was no ordinary day. It was the final audition round, and the best of the best were already circling like hawks. Knives sharpened, egos even sharper. In the middle of the chaos, she stood quietly, wearing a faded apron, holding a single egg in her hand. Her name was Lina, a single mom from the suburbs, with no fancy culinary degree, no sponsors, no viral videos, just a tired smile and a story most wouldn't bother to ask about. Her eyes scanned the room, not with fear, but with quiet determination. She wasn't here for fame. She wasn't here for approval. She was here for something far more personal. The other chefs noticed her almost immediately. Whispers turned into snickers. "Is that a grocery store apron?" One laughed under his breath. Another leaned over to his friend, eyes rolling. "She's holding one egg. Is this a joke?" They were dressed in pristine whites, their stations stacked with expensive ingredients, digital thermometers, blowtorches, even gold leaf. They came from Michelin-starred kitchens and luxury hotels. She came from nowhere, as far as they were concerned. But Lina didn't flinch. Chef Marco, the reigning champion of the show and social media darling, was the first to step forward. With his signature smirk and a mic always too close to his mouth, he swaggered toward her. "Hey there, Mom," he said, voice dripping with sarcasm. "You sure you're in the right place? This isn't a bake sale." The crowd laughed. The camera zoomed in. Lina smiled politely but said nothing. Her silence only fueled the fire. Another, Chef Nadine, known for her fiery temper and even hotter sauces, joined in. "You're brave, I'll give you that," she said, arms crossed. "But cooking here isn't about scrambled eggs and school lunches. It's about technique, flavor layering, art. You ready for that?" Lina nodded softly. "I'm ready." They all laughed again. The judges, sitting at their elevated table, exchanged glances. One of them, Chef Antoine, an old-school master with a sharp eye, tilted his head curiously. "What dish are you preparing, Miss Lina?" he asked, his voice calm but cautious. She lifted her egg. "Just this," she replied, her tone quiet. "One egg." Another ripple of laughter. Chef Marco slapped the counter, howling. "This is rich! Someone get the cameras closer. This is going viral." But Lina's eyes never left the egg. Her hands, though aged and rough from years of hard work, moved with a grace that no one expected. She gently cracked the shell, separating the yolk with the kind of precision that can't be taught, only earned through time. As she worked, something shifted in the air. The laughter faded. The judges leaned forward. The chefs stopped stirring. She added nothing fancy. No truffle oil, no caviar, just basic ingredients. A dash of salt, a hint of pepper, a few drops of oil. Her pan hissed, but her movements were calm, rhythmic, like a song only she could hear. In under 5 minutes, she plated the egg, but what landed on the dish was nothing short of magic. The aroma alone made the nearby crew freeze. The color was golden, the texture almost unreal. It shimmered like silk, light yet rich, delicate but bold. Chef Antoine stood up slowly. "Impossible," he whispered. Chef Marco scoffed but took a cautious step forward. "Let me taste it, then." He picked up a fork, slicing through the egg as if it were custard. The moment the bite hit his tongue, his face froze. The smirk vanished. His hand trembled slightly as he put the fork down. "What is this?" Lina gave a small shrug. "Just breakfast." The camera caught every reaction, judges staring wide-eyed, chefs swallowing their pride, the audience in stunned silence. In one bite, she had turned the mood of the room upside down. But just as things were shifting, the host's voice rang out. "Time's up. Chefs, bring your dishes forward, and yes, even the egg." Lina stepped back from her station, leaving behind the empty shell and her quiet legacy. But the real storm was just beginning. Behind the scenes, a producer rushed to the control room. "Who is she? Did anyone vet her? This isn't in the script," they shouted. Back in the kitchen, Nadine, red-faced and tense, whispered to Marco, "There's something off about her. No one makes an egg like that." And Marco, still licking his lips unconsciously, replied, "She's hiding something." He was right. Lina wasn't just a single mom. She wasn't just a nobody who walked in from the suburbs. What they didn't know, what no one knew, was that years ago she was once known in underground culinary circles by a title feared and respected, the god of cooking, a name spoken in hushed tones, a legend who vanished overnight after a mysterious accident left her world shattered. But now, she was back. And with just an egg, she had sent shockwaves through the competition. So, why now? Why return after all this time? And what was the secret behind that impossible dish? As judges deliberate and the contestants boil with jealousy, one thing is clear. This isn't just another cooking show anymore. The god of cooking has returned, and this time she's not here to prove herself. She's here to remind them who she is. But just as Lina turns to leave the arena, one of the producers steps in her path, holding a phone, panic in his voice. "Ma'am, someone just posted your dish. It's blowing up online. Millions of views in minutes. And someone recognized you. They're coming." Lina's smile fades. Her grip tightens. The past she ran from is catching up. Lina froze as the producer's words sank in. Someone recognized her. That one egg had done more than shake a few chefs. It had reopened a door she had closed years ago. Her mind raced, but her face stayed calm. She nodded politely, stepped aside, and walked toward the corner of the kitchen, where no one could see the panic tightening in her chest. Behind her, the judges announced the top dish of the round. "Unanimous decision," Chef Antoine said, his voice still tinged with disbelief. "The egg takes the win." Gasps and murmurs swept across the studio. Chefs who had trained their whole lives for this moment were now staring in disbelief. Chef Marco's eyes burned with something deeper than anger, humiliation. He had lost to a woman they all mocked, to a dish they had ridiculed, and to a person who didn't say a single proud word about it. Backstage, Lina washed her hands slowly, staring into the sink. Water ran over her fingers, but her thoughts were miles away. Years ago, she had stood in another kitchen, bigger, colder, full of men, in white coats and silent cameras. Back then, she was Lina Wu, the rising legend. A chef known not just for her skill, but for a sense of flavor that people called instinctive, otherworldly. She had trained in hidden kitchens across Asia and Europe, creating dishes that moved people to tears. But just when her name was about to reach the world stage, everything shattered. A jealous rival, a sabotaged dish, a fire in the kitchen that left her hospitalized and blamed. The press crucified her. Her name was erased from restaurant walls, and the man she trusted most, the one who had promised to stand by her, disappeared without a trace. She had walked away from it all. Changed her name, moved to a quiet town, raised her son alone, never cooked professionally again, until now. "Why did you come back?" she asked herself under her breath, eyes dark with memory. But deep down, she knew the answer. Her son, Leo, just turned 10. Bright, curious, and full of questions. He had never seen his mother cook anything fancy. One day, he found an old photo in a box, her in a chef's coat holding a gold medal. "Is this really you?" he asked, wide-eyed. And Lina couldn't lie. That night, she cooked a proper meal. Just once. Just for him. And the spark returned. The fire she buried. The love she once feared. That's when she decided. She'd enter Master Flame Arena. Not to prove anything, but to show her son who she really was. But now the world was remembering too. Meanwhile, across town, in a glossy penthouse kitchen filled with reporters and polished knives, a man watched the video of the egg dish on repeat. His face was pale. His hands shook. "It's her," he whispered. His name was Chef Vincent Lung, owner of 5-star restaurants, cover star of every food magazine, and the man who once stood beside Lina before he betrayed her. Years ago, he stole her recipe, fed a lie to the press, and used her fall to rise to the top. No one knew, not even the judges. But now, watching her cook again, fear flickered in his eyes. He picked up the phone. "Get me on that show," he said. "I don't care what it takes." Back at the studio, Lina was called into the waiting room for the next round. The atmosphere had shifted. No more laughter, no more jokes. Even Nadine, who had mocked her so loudly, now eyed her with wariness. "Where did you learn to cook like that?" she finally asked. Lina just smiled. "Same place as everyone else," she said. "Life." But Nadine didn't buy it. Neither did Marco. They both sensed something deeper behind Lina's calm. Over the next few days, the competition heated up. Each round brought new challenges: blindfold tastings, fusion battles, and secret ingredients. Lina didn't dominate every time. Sometimes she barely made it through. But her dishes always left a mark. Simple yet unforgettable. And every time she cooked, the camera lingered a little longer. Comments online exploded. "Who is she? The Egg Queen. Mysterious mom turns competition upside down." Her name trended across platforms, though she never even had an account. She refused all interviews. She stayed silent. But her food spoke loud enough. Then came the twist, a surprise entry. A returning legend. Chef Vincent walked onto the set during a special wildcard episode, cameras flashing, music blasting. "The king is back!" the host shouted. The audience erupted. The judges were stunned. Lina went still. Their eyes met for the first time in a decade. He smiled, but there was no warmth in it, only warning. The host, unaware of the storm brewing, beneath the surface, clapped his hands. "Let's raise the stakes. You two cook head-to-head, a one-on-one challenge. The theme, forgotten flavors." Vincent smirked. That was Lina's signature theme, the thing she was known for. But now he was ready. This time he would win fairly, or make sure she didn't. As they prepped, the kitchen filled with tension thick enough to slice. Lina picked humble ingredients: lotus root, pickled mustard greens, dried tofu. Vincent went for flair: smoked meats, exotic spices, imported oils. But just as the timer was about to start, something strange happened. A reporter backstage whispered to a judge. A phone was passed around. An old clip surfaced, grainy, from 10 years ago. Lina in the kitchen, a dish identical to Vincent's signature, made before he ever claimed it. And suddenly, everything changed. Eyes turned. Questions rose. Lina stood still, holding a knife above the cutting board, her heart pounding, her past catching up in full view. She was finally seen. And the next 30 minutes would decide everything. The room went dead silent as the old clip played on the big screen. Lina's hands froze mid-cut. The judges leaned forward, eyes wide, whispers trailing like a storm ready to break. Everyone watching felt the weight of the moment. This was more than just a cooking contest now. It was a reckoning. Vincent's confident smirk faltered for the first time. He glanced at the screen, then at Lina, his carefully built empire cracking at the edges. The signature dish, the one he claimed as his own for years, now belonged to her. The truth that had been buried under lies and shadows was finally out in the open. For a heartbeat, no one spoke. Then Chef Antoine, usually so composed, stepped forward. "This changes everything," he said quietly, turning to the judges. "Lina's talent was stolen from her. This clip proves it beyond doubt." Vincent tried to defend himself, but the evidence was clear and his excuses fell flat. The crowd's mood shifted from shock to support. The chefs who had mocked Lina before now looked at her with respect, even awe. The single mom who dared to challenge them was no longer just a competitor. She was a survivor, a rightful master of her craft. Lina took a deep breath and finally spoke, her voice steady but full of emotion. "I never came back for revenge. I came back to show my son that no matter what happens, you never lose yourself. You never stop fighting." The final challenge began. Lina and Vincent stood side by side, knives in hand, ready to cook not just for the judges, but for their own stories. Lina's movements were calm and precise, the years away from the spotlight replaced by raw passion and skill. Vincent fought harder than ever, but it was clear the spark wasn't the same. When the judges tasted their dishes, the silence was long. Then, slowly, Chef Antoine smiled and said, "Lina's dish tells a story. It's honest, bold, and full of heart. It's the true spirit of cooking." Vincent nodded, defeated but respectful. "You earned this," he said quietly. The crowd erupted in applause. Cameras flashed. Lina looked out into the audience, her son's proud smile burning bright in her mind. She had come full circle, from being mocked and forgotten to standing, tall as the god of cooking she truly was. In that moment, the story wasn't just about a cooking contest anymore. It was about resilience, about reclaiming your worth, and about the power of never giving up, even when the world doubts you. Lina had broken the shell, crushed every obstacle, and proved that sometimes all it takes is one bold step and one perfect egg to change everything. As the credits rolled, viewers everywhere were left inspired, waiting eagerly for what this extraordinary chef and devoted mother would create next. Because one thing was clear, her story had only just begun.